growing up in Hingham, when I was 15 years old, my father got sober and told us that he had an issue with alcohol and that he had joined Alcoholics Anonymous. And from that point on, he was very, very proud of his recovery. He was an incredible role model for myself, my siblings, my cousins, his family. His openness about his own recovery was far-reaching. My name is Lori McCarthy, and I am a lifelong resident of Hingham. I work for Herren Wellness. I'm the executive director, and it's a very positive place for people to really build strengths on managing stress and, how to not use substances in a culture that it's so prevalent. So the work in prevention is extremely important to me and very, very close to my heart. And I am very passionate about the work that Hingham Cares is doing. I actually became very interested in the professional aspect of recovery when my children were young. I've been very vocal about my recovery. I've always been someone that has been very proud to talk about being in recovery, and that I think because I was very open, I had a lot of people reaching out to me with just questions about struggles with alcohol within family members or their kids. What I realized is how much I really love the work. I really love working with families. I really wanted to become even more educated about it. It's been over 15 years, almost 20 years now, that I've been in the field of addiction. It's an amazing line of work. I love it. I think people that know me know how much I care about it and how important it is to get the information out there. Science tells us that there's not full brain development until the ages of 24, 25, and the impact that substance use has on a developing brain is significant. Before your brain is fully developed and your prefrontal cortex, which is decision making and rational thought, like all of those things play into the decisions that we're making when we're young. Using substances in a developing brain, there's risk in that and there's danger in that. And, more likelihood that if you start using substances at a very young age, your risk increases for dependence on those substances. We know that the underdeveloped brain is, prone to impulsivity. Adding substances to that is obviously dangerous. I think there needs to be way more education around that for our kids. ACEs is a term for adverse childhood experiences. Now that there is a term for it, I think there's more focus on some of these things that contribute to whether you're at high risk or not. And some of those things that would be considered an adverse childhood experience are anything from physical, emotional abuse, bullying, environmental, mental health. 40%, I think it's almost 40% of adverse childhood experiences are due to alcohol and drug abuse within the home. So some are more severe than others, but I will also say that one of the scariest things about addiction is that no one knows who has it. So whether you have, are you at higher risk with adverse childhood experiences? Absolutely. But I would argue that every single person is at risk. People that are with us in our program, our guests who, whether they're young or older, will report beautiful, loving families, growing up in, with not a lot of trauma or anything like that. Although these adverse childhood experiences, which have been around forever, but now there's a name for them, it is extremely important to know. It's also important to know that even without that, people are at risk. the impact that we have as adults on our kids around substance use is substantial. How we ourselves present around our children definitely has an impact on these risk factors. So it is being responsible ourselves. It's not drinking and driving. It's not using alcohol and drugs as the, oh, I had such a tough week, I deserve to fill in the blank. It's being a little bit more responsible with the messaging that we're giving our kids. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with social drinking and anything like that, but there's also a responsibility that goes along with that. If we want to do our best to prevent addiction, we have to provide information. We have to educate, and whether that's in a school setting, whether that's in the family home, but it should be conversations that we're having with our kids all the time. If we're educating our kids about sunscreen, for like wear your sunscreen because of skin cancer, we should be educating our kids about, you don't know how this is going to affect you. You don't know if you're going to be put in a bad situation. Be cautious. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it isn't harmful. Illicit drugs that are out there, it's absolutely terrifying. And in the culture that we live in, our kids are bombarded with and have access to lots of substances and drugs. We hear time and time and time and time again about kids that are on college campuses that are buying Xanax or buying even weed or doing cocaine that is laced or has something in it that no one knew. It's no one's intention that anybody's going to get hurt, but the combination of what you're mixing or what you're doing is lethal. It's out of love that we're telling our kids, this is what's happening out there, and I would be irresponsible if I didn't have these conversations with you. There's a lot of pressure out there, and we need to teach our kids how to manage that pressure and stress. It's sort of like building all of these strategies so that alcohol and or marijuana and or other drugs don't become the source of relief for our kids. Kids that are going off to college is again, it's a really it's a stressful time. Although it's so exciting, it's also scary. Understand that under the influence of any drug or alcohol, you lower your defenses. You are not able to make the best decisions. That at times you can be put in situations that it's not possible for you to get out of because you're under the influence. I think that keeping a clear head and trying to really think not twice, but think 3 times, think 4 times about some of the decisions that you're going to be making. Always have a plan, always have a friend with you. Don't be the one that's left behind, and don't be the one that leaves somebody else behind. You don't have to participate in all of this stuff. Remember that your life is precious, that it is your life, and be cognizant that it matters and that you matter, and gravitate towards people that, like-minded people. Build your team so that if you're struggling or you're afraid or you're not feeling great, you reach out to these people and have them in your life. Educate yourself about substances. Educate yourself about what's out there. So be as curious about things that you're doing, something that you're going to put in your body, than you are about, what you're learning in your classes. And you will be far better and, a resource for other people. I am in the field of recovery, I am also myself in recovery, coming up on 35 years. When I started struggling with my own alcohol use, a solution was readily available. I knew that there was a solution, and I knew that it didn't include, doom and gloom without alcohol, but really sort of freedom and a beautiful life. Recovery is not only possible, but a beautiful lifestyle, so to speak.